Welcome to Critter Crusades, the show about ordinary people on extraordinary missions to save animals. Today we have a very serious show. It's about global animal issues. And my guests today are Elizabeth Wittelsbach and Theresa Dern from Strangest Angels Animal Rescue. Thank you so much for joining us to talk about this important subject. We also have your friend Jimmy here who's been napping and hanging out with us here, who's an adoptive animal, joining us to talk about these subjects. I really wanted to do this show and talk about important global issues that people that are in the rescue community are involved in. Some of them most notably are ones like anti-fur, anti-vivisection, the Korean consumption of animals, and harp seal abuse and the killing of whales and all of our marine life. So why don't we just jump into it, because we have some incredible video that you've brought as well that I would like to show. But one of the topics I think a lot of people have heard about for a lot of years is about anti-fur. And they think, oh, these animal rights nuts, they just don't want you to wear fur. But they don't really know what goes into the creating of a fur coat. Right. I grew up as a young person in the fashion industry. I had no idea. I would go to furriers. I had no idea what was going on at that time until I became aware and educated. And that's what we hope with this show. It will educate people about what's really going on. So I'll go ahead and talk with you, Elizabeth, since you know a lot about anti-fur. Where is the biggest issue going on in the world today regarding anti-fur, and why are people getting involved?
The biggest area of concern right now, well, always actually, from years and years and years, is China. And that's where 85% of animals are skinned alive. And I'm not just talking about wildlife like raccoons, minks. I'm also talking about cats and dogs and puppies and rabbits, and they do it so horrifically. They pile the animals on top of each other, so they're like just squished in a big cage, and then they take them out with prongs and they skin them alive. They electrocute them. Some of them are slammed headfirst into the ground and they don't die right away. I actually saw some footage which was very disturbing. It was a dog that, it looked just like my dog, and he started from the paw and he had his foot on the dog's neck and he just skinned it from paw all the way to around the eye, and the dog was alive for about 15 minutes afterwards without its skin. It bled to death.
Why are they using dogs and cats? We always think of fur as the fox and the mink and the chinchilla. What is that about?
It's very disgusting. About 5,400 cats and dogs are skinned alive daily in China.
5,400?
Yes, 5,400. And they don't, people be wearing a coat that they think is this expensive fur coat, and they don't even know that they're wearing cat and dog fur.
How would someone know that they're wearing a cat or a dog?
You wouldn't.
Do they treat the fur to where it then has a consistency like a fox or like?
Yeah, they put it in with the other fur, so it kind of
so they lessen the quality and cheapen the product and use what could be. So are they mass breeding animals for this?
I'm not sure how they do it. They must be mass breeding, because 5,400 animals a day is quite a lot.
Who are purchasing these fur coats and fur items? What countries?
It's really disturbing that the U.S. is bringing this. I don't know necessarily. I know that I was in Oz the other day, and they have an actual cat that just sits there, and it's real cute, but if you look at it and you pet it, or you touch it, it's actual cat fur and dog fur and bunny fur. And some of them will say on the bottom, like at Oz, it says this is a dog fur or this is bunny fur, and it says it. Mm-hmm. And I was appalled. I said, I want to speak to your manager, blah, blah, blah. But U.S. Buys a lot of fur.
So you have a photo here of something that is very tragic that we see.
Yeah.
That is something we can zoom in on.
This is a German Shepherd, and he's being skinned alive, starting with his paw. And it's very horrific, excruciating for the animal. It's very disturbing. This is man's best friend.
And so what is the Olympic symbol?
This is Beijing. This is basically, we're boycotting China, which is very hard to do here. Mm-hmm. I went to the mall and I was shopping, and I was looking at Vans, I was looking at Puma, I was looking at all the things that, you know, I used to love, and made in China, made in China. And what we're trying to do is boycott China, not buy any products from China, and try to make them suffer. So they will stop doing these horrific deeds. And
it's unbelievable.
For anything that, if anybody wants to do something for these animals, they can go to furkills.org, and they show you how to write letters, and what to do, what you can do, who you can write, and it's very important. It's very disgusting.
It's so important for people to get involved and take action.
Yes.
So Theresa, tell me more about anti-vivisection. That is, anti-vivisection means?
Vivisection is the cutting into of live animals, which is pretty much unnecessary. A lot of them are feeling every ounce of pain that they're going through. They're not given any medication to ease their pain. They're not put to sleep. They're wide awake most of the time. They're having their brains cut into, everything. They're having cosmetics and cleaning supplies and things that they would never come in contact in their own world, like put in their eyes, poured down their throats. And this is all supposedly to see how it will affect humans, but their bodies aren't the same as ours. They react differently than humans do. And there are so many other tests that can be done to test the safety of a product without using animals.
And I know there's many cruelty-free products. That is a suggestion to always look to purchase cruelty-free items. One of the things I had heard is that it's sort of a scam, the cruelty-free label in one sense, is that, let's say, a manufacturer, I won't name any names, may have prior to this manufactured and tested a lot of their products on animals, and they end up in this large recipe book somewhere in the industry. And from that, once it's been tested, they don't have to test it again, so then they actually can legally say they're no longer testing. But they're using a recipe, quote, a recipe that was used prior, that was made. So you really do have to look for companies that started out as cruelty-free, I would assume.
Right. You can research it on the internet. There's the National Anti-Vivisection Society, and they have a list, and it's very detailed. It tells you who has tested on animals in the past and may not anymore, who has never tested on animals, who still does. I mean, they've done a lot of research to find out who is involved and who's not. So you can, and there's quite a long list of companies that are cruelty-free.
And I know there's a lot of celebrities and different people that really back this issue up as far as being against it and voice their opinion about it, because it is so horrendous. And I know some have been considered extremists that have fought against this issue, but it is, in the medical sense, they say it's for science, but it's not humane in the way that it's being done.
True, and it's not even really worth doing. If they're trying to save human lives, why are they testing on animals that don't have the same physiology as us? Right. A lot of the reasons why they continue doing these testing is because they get money. They get grants, they get donations from people that don't realize that these tests are inaccurate.
Right. So another subject that's a truly horrific, one that I have been involved in somewhat and have wanted to support, was the consumption of dogs and cats, which was a subject prior with fur, but consumption of dogs and cats in Korea. I know there was one group that is very involved of women fighting the Korean government to stop this consumption. Tell me more about that, about what's going on in Korea.
They are actually, it's an underground thing now, because right before the Seoul Olympics, they passed a law making it illegal to consume dogs and cats, just really to make themselves look good to the outside world. But really they were still doing it on an underground level, and it's, you know, they're not enforcing the laws that they've supposedly passed. They are making soup out of dogs. They are saying that if you eat dog meat, it'll make you more virile, which I don't know how that's possible, but You know, they have their little mitts. Yeah, dog stew. There's even a restaurant chain in Korea now that specializes in dog meat.
And I know they're having mass farming of the animals.
Right.
There is one dog in particular, I think it's sort of a yellow or golden dog that they sort of focus on. I think, isn't there one sort of like the Jindo or something that they breed a lot of for this purpose?
They do breed a lot of specific types of dogs, and they also steal dogs out of people's yards, people's pets. They steal them and then sell the meat in meat markets.
I know the one woman I was thinking of whose group is fighting it so much. They've helped to get 1 or 2 restaurants started that will promote people bringing their pets to the restaurant to eat, to show you don't eat animals. They're your family members. You bring them there. And what is there a place that people can go to try to write letters about that?
The Ministry of Health and Welfare in Korea, and there's this website right here. It's AnimalPeopleNews.org.
It's a nonprofit, and they are very involved in being able to get
have petitions and all the information that you need to fight this.
Right. So they really put the information out. So far, the groups you've told me about are nonprofits that really are about information and education so people can find out more.
This is one of the online petitions as well, too. It shows what types of dogs they do have, and they set it up for you to print it out so you can go around and take it to all your friends in your neighborhood, your city council, anything, and you can get them to sign it.
Right.
And so that's a really great way to help get all the signatures that you can. And
I think it's great for children to understand and be able to do it with their groups. Maybe they're in Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts or whatever, or there are other groups that they may be involved in, church groups or animal groups that they just, people that love animals, to know more about it and to be educated about the truth. The truth about what we're talking about right now is this exists. This is not a humane world in a lot of ways, in the sense that these are things that are about business.
Right.
It's really about big business making money off of the torture, the violent torture of animals. Now, another topic which, of course, we can't go without talking about, which has become much more seen lately, is that about the harp seals and about, I mean, famous people from Bridget Bardot to Paul McCartney to all types are going to Canada to be able
Elizabeth and Theresa.
Yes, exactly, and that's true, as yourself. And going out and tell me a little bit about that. I know you have incredible tape you want to show us about that as well. And the whales. I know I had heard Paul Watson recently speaking. You know, just how the certain countries want to go out and completely annihilate the whale population.
Yeah.
Because once it's gone, that's fine.
And the manatees. We do work with every single, we try to get every single animal, wildlife. We try to do as much as we can and educate as many people as possible. We have different tactics for different people. Some people need a shocking video, or they don't believe you. Other people just, you know, I'm a factual person, so I always have the facts. I have, you know, things to share with people, and it's really great to educate people, but different tactics for different people. And harp seals, it's been going on since the 70s, and a lot of people thought it stopped in the 70s, and it did not. And Bridget Bardot, that's when she got involved in it. And then along the lines, you know, Paul McCartney, like you said, and Heather McCartney, and just many celebrities, Martin Sheen, which you'll be seeing on the tape.
And it's the clubbing of the seals for their fur, but not really just for the fur, I understand.
They try to sell their pelts and their meat, and they try to also say that they need to stop the population. The population, it's overpopulated, and they're eating all the fish. But what it is the fishermen are overfishing. Right. And people don't know the facts, and also they say, even Danny Williams, the politician there in Canada, he said on Larry King Live, he actually lied through his teeth and said that they are being killed humanely with a bullet, which is just absolutely false. And right after that, it showed 2 sealers getting ready, you know, with their new clubs and their hack-a-picks, which hack-a-pick, just think of the name. I mean, that's a horrible tool. It's a long club which has a club on one end and a blade on the other. And actually, Captain Paul Watson, whom you'll see speak with Martin Sheen and Dan Haggerty, was beaten with one of those and cut up.
It's just
so he stopped the hunt though for a day. So yay, Paul! Captain Paul.
Why don't we go ahead and roll that video and see? Can you preface it just for one moment? Wasn't there something that went on ahead of time of the video we're about to watch?
Oh yes. There was a lot of noise distractions. People were trying to interrupt our freedom of speech, so they were ringing bells, and it has nothing to do with my tape or any kind of function. Quality. Yeah, the video quality. It's something they kept doing, ringing bells and honking and just trying to disrupt our freedom of speech, basically.
Okay, so let's roll that tape and watch what we see as far as the protest against the hunting of seals.
Is everyone rolling?
Okay. Just for the record, I'm Martin Sheen, and I'm a great supporter of Sea Shepherd, and I'm against the slaughter of harp seal. I have been since I met this gentleman, Captain Paul Watson. Just for the record, we invited the council to come down and face you all so that we wouldn't misrepresent him, but he said he trusted me. So we pretty much got a government assurance that they support the seal hunt, and they will continue to do so. They're not really concerned about the boycott. We were told that the boycott is really only hurting the fishermen in Canada. So I don't think, and anyone can correct me if I'm misstating their position, but that seemed to be the bottom line. So I'll leave it to Paul and this gentleman who did most of the talking along with Dan.
That was the bottom line. I just want to throw it out there. We put everything to him. We talked about the effect that it might have on the tourism industry and the boycott. They really kind of almost did the same thing they did last year, where they just said, go for it. It's not really affecting us enough. They pretty much spewed out the same thing that we'd heard and we expected, the DFO party line. He told me literally to not read between the lines. That was literal words. So I don't know. It was the same thing. No big surprises. I really appreciate harpseals.org and Paul and Martin and Dan Haggerty doing this for the seals.
Awesome. Hey Jan, will you swap spots with the captain for me real quick, please? Thank you. And
yeah.
Go ahead, Captain.
Well, we were talking about the cruelty of the hunt. The Consul General said that there is no cruelty. When we said that we have witnessed it for 30 years, there are 600 hours of a video documenting this cruelty. He said that he goes by what his department tells him. He's never been to the ice, but he says that there is no cruelty. It is the most well-regulated, humane hunt harvest, as he uses, of any animal in the world. And of course, you know, he's just going doing what his government tells him to do.
What's his name?
It's Jim Fears, the consul. Dudois is the consul general. And so what he's stating there is that he basically called us liars. He said that we've never witnessed cruelty on the ice.
Oh my God.
It's the most humane hunt in the world.
But he admits he's never been there, so he's really taking the government's position and saying these are the facts.
But the other thing was that you were proving to him how the seal hunt and how the decimation of the seals have declined, and he was saying no, they've tripled in population, which is, I mean, I couldn't believe this.
I mean, the government's own records, I mean, what he's saying is that the population's tripled. He's saying there's 6 million seals. We believe there's only 3 million. But if it's tripled, that means then the population was less than 2 million 30 years ago, as he says, but the population figures at the time show 5 to 6 million then. In fact, the government's figures have remained consistent. So the government's own records relay what they're saying.
Yeah,
Where do we go from there? Where do we go from here?
Boycott. I told him that we would continue the boycott, that we were going to continue spreading the word, that kids were involved. There's a major youth movement, and that this thing was going to be on MySpace. It's all over the world, and that we're gonna just keep the pressure on them because apparently they haven't had enough. So everybody out here, but we got to keep the pressure on them because that guy wasn't bending an inch.
Hey Paul, can you restate Sea Shepherd, why Sea Shepherd's down here?
Well, this is Sea Shepherd's here because this is one of many cities around the world that is bringing this message to the consuls. the Canadian consuls around the world, and you know, people are having the same kind of demonstrations in front of Canadian consulates in Moscow and in Cape Town and London and Paris and in Sydney, Australia today. And I think this is sending a strong message to the Canadian government that the international public is opposed to what is happening. This is the 21st century. It's a time to get rid of archaic and barbaric industries that exist because of cruelty and really have no benefit to anybody other than a small handful of people who refuse to accept alternatives. Because one of the things I should point out is that the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society has presented an alternative, a non-lethal, cruelty-free form of sealing that would provide jobs to hundreds and hundreds of fishermen on the east coast of Canada. And that alternative is this. Baby seals lose their seal hair after 2.5 weeks. It brushes off. They like to actually be brushed. You can actually go up to them with a hairbrush and brush it off. There's a company in Germany that will pay $300 a kilo for that hair because it's very similar to eiderdown. They want to make bed comforters and everything. So here we have a product that can be obtained from a seal, and the seal actually enjoys having the hair brushed off. So it's a cruelty-free form of sealing. The Canadian government has rejected that and has refused to give me permits to build up on that alternative. And this is because in 1995, when Martin and I were in the Magdalen Islands promoting this project, we were viciously attacked by sealers who threatened us, and I was quite severely beaten. And what was the head of the Sealing Association said, and these were his exact words: "We don't want anything to do with a faggoty idea like brushing seals. Seals are meant to be killed, they're not meant to be coddled." And that was how they rejected the idea. So they don't want kindness, they want cruelty. As one sealer in the Magdalen Islands says, this is more than something money. This is about a chance to get out of the house, get away from the woman, get some beers, go with the boys and kill something. This is the attitude. This is what keeps the seal hunt going.
Why do you think they picked today to to announce the quota?
I have no idea why they would pick today.
It's the Ides of March.
Oh, the Ides of
Dan, how did you get involved with this issue?
I've been involved with the animal issue all my life. You know, it's something I've always been involved with. We've been friends for a long time, and I just think it's something that I can bring attention to with the kids that I deal with and the animals that I've been working with all my life. It's an important thing. We don't need to destroy something, get it down to the last 500 of them and say, we got to save them again. Here's a gentleman that's been working this hard out for 30 years and knew more about what was going on in their government than their government politicians did. So I think that we've got a hell of a representative here. Martin's a terrific guy, and we got to kick ass. We might as well go kick ass.
Dan, how do you feel about it? Maybe instead of attacking the whole government of Canada, just the individuals that are profiting from this event?
Well, it was something that was very interesting to me. It's only 5% of their income that comes in throughout the year off of the seals, which is nothing. I mean, he's giving them an alternative how to make a living. And Martin was saying, look, I mean, they're not making a living and doing themselves any good 5% of the year. So we're going to open up their minds and let them be broader and bigger and stronger and teach them what to do. And when they were up there before, they said there's a lot of alcoholism and there's a lot of backwardism there. By having more money and opening up their hearts and their minds, they can do a lot better financially. And so they're offering them a way to go, and they're saying, well, no, we like being backwards, but we're not backwards. So with one comment, he made another comment. So, you know, it's up to these people, but at the same time, maybe not dealing with the government so much, but one-to-one with what he's been doing doesn't seem to do a whole lot of good, but he's been doing it constantly for 30 years. So maybe we get the youth behind what we're talking about. The young kids are the spokesmen of today. I mean, this is something we got to get the kids involved with. You see a lot, you know, young lady, young kid seeing a harp seal beat in the head with a beautiful little white skin and blood all over it. It kind of puts a choke in your heart, you know. So you go, maybe we've got to stop this. Kids listen to adults, adults listen to adults, but kids will learn from other kids, and the adults are starting to learn from the kids. So when kids go, come on, you got to get behind this, mom and dad. Mom and dad starts taking notice to them, you know. So here's a young man that's become an old man, you know, trying to save seals and trying to take care of the planet. So we got to stick behind him. He was blonde and brown, now he's gray. So he's going to be Santa Claus in Alaska here pretty soon. But you know, we just got to be strong. We got to stick together. We have to. We need the youth.
Someone that sees this at home and wants to do something, what can they do to help?
Buy Paul a boat.
The Canadian polls have shown that the majority of Canadians are opposed to the slaughter of seals. Canada has proven that it doesn't listen to the voice of its own people. And what Canada does listen to are voices from outside of Canada. and Canada does listen to economic pressure. So boycotting a Canadian seafood, boycotting a tourism to Canada, boycotting at the Olympics in 2010 in Vancouver, these are the things that Canada listens to. This is the only language they understand. And so this is what we have to continue pushing. And you know, we've got to get Red Lobster to stop buying Canadian fish. We have to increase the pressure from the boycott, and I think that is what's going to turn it around, because it's going to get to the point where the fishermen of Canada are going to go to the Canadian government and say, look, we can't take any more losses here. You know, we're going to voluntarily get rid of this slaughter in order to survive.
And this boycott's not just a Sea Shepherd thing, is it? It's pretty much growing worldwide, and some big companies have signed on, haven't they?
Yeah, the boycott is being pushed by the Humane Society of the United States, by Sea Shepherd, by HarpSeals.org, and numerous other organizations around the world. And it's becoming a real grassroots movement too, and everything. So. Yeah, and also big companies have signed on. Last week, Trader Joe's signed on. Whole Foods market signed on originally, and now and Costco's actually is going to join up. So the only thing, we really got to get Red Lobster and put more and more pressure on Red Lobster. Thanks to Heather and Paul McCartney, who mentioned it twice on the Larry King Show, I think we've gone a long way there. So if Red Lobster would agree, I think that would be a real mortal blow to the Canadian government.
Target Red Lobster. Boycott's still on.
So is there a contact website or something that we can go to directly that links us to the
Yeah, you can
slaughtering?
go to seashepherd.org or HarpSeals.org.
Say that again, I'm sorry?
seashepherd.org or HarpSeals.org.
That said about the youth, will you guys hold the sign for the music video? We knew what their answer was going to be on one side and thought it might work out better on the other side. So I still believe.
So we see that's an incredible tape. Tell me what the sign says before we close so we can wrap this up and have the point of what it's about.
His sign said, I still believe. I say if everyone would do a little, a lot would get done in this world, and just pick a cause.
Great. Thank you so much for joining Critter Crusades.
Thank
we'll see you again.